If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
Hello, fellow gamers! Welcome back to another episode of the Video Gamers Podcast. If you are new to the show, we are three dads that just love having lighthearted conversations about gaming. Please take a second to rate our show 5 stars, leave a written review on Apple Podcasts, and check out support options through Patreon to get perks like bonus episodes at multiplayersquad.com. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, the God of War is back. Death can have him when it's earned him. It's Josh.
Dude, that statement still gives me chills.
You will die, Kratos of Sparta.
Death can have me when it earns me.
Every time I watch the Ragnarok trailer for the PC, I'm so hyped for this. And then I love that that's the line that they use. And right away, I was just like, yeah!
Christopher Judge. What a voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
And then joining Josh and me, we had to check in on him. We had to, see what his mental state is like. Konami has delayed one of his favorite games. I'm worried that he might die of old age because Konami is pushing back the clock. It's Ryan.
Delay? Delay? Delay!
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
Nice. Oh, we're gonna have to wait to hear that nice screaming for our boy Snake. All right, guys, there's a lot to talk about here this week. Biggest event by far, PlayStation State of Play.
Yeah.
These have always been kind of hit or miss. Like, there are some times when they hit us with so much fun stuff to talk about, and then there's other times when it's like, I don't even know why they had that. I feel like this one brought a lot of stuff to talk about. I think there's a lot of really good stuff. There's a couple of things that I found rather puzzling. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun as we start to break this stuff down. Let's just start with God of War Ragnarok. All right.
Yeah.
I know we already did a deep dive, right? All three of us played it on PS5. It's coming to PC. We now know for sure it's the same people who ported God of War 2018 that did such a fantastic job with it. It hasn't even been that long since we played it on PS5, but as soon as I started watching this trailer and seeing Odin and it was all coming back, I was like, dude, I remember saying Odin was my favorite villain of the year, and it just got me pumped, and I want to play more Ragnarok. I almost don't want to wait. I just want to do another playthrough on PS5, and I'm really trying hard to push that off.
Well, some of us don't have that luxury, Paul. Some of us have to wait for the PC port because we don't have a PlayStation 5.
Yep.
I mean, I can't. My excitement for this is through the roof. I was very, very excited when it said Jetpack Interactive because they are the developers that ported the God of War 2018. I've said it a million times. It's the most perfect PC port I've ever seen, especially when you see how like The Last of Us was ported to PC. I mean, we've had some beloved franchises that have not made the move to PC very well. God of War 2018 was just about flawless. It was done by Jetpack Interactive. So the second I saw that splash screen, I just breathed this like huge sigh of relief. And then it was like, oh my goodness. If this is going to be like God of War 2018 was on PC, this is going to be a bananas experience. Everybody that's been listening for a while knows I do not replay video games. It's just not in my video game DNA. I always want that new thing, that new flavor, try this, try that. But I will absolutely be diving into God of War Ragnarok on PC. We were joking around on our Squadcast that I mean, dude, it looks phenomenal. It was already a good looking game, but you can tell in the trailer the difference in graphics between what it was on PS5 and what it's going to be on PC. they're using all the new tech with the DLSS 3.1 and frame generation and all this really cool stuff that we like to see. It's got built-in ultra wide support. Yep. Exactly. I mean, they know what PC gamers are looking for. They are delivering that in spades. Unless this somehow just makes a complete 180 from what they did on the first game, this is going to be an experience like no other.
Don't you put that juju out in the air.
I have all the faith in the world, man, in these guys, because seeing what they did on the first one just gives me a ton of confidence that they're going to pull it off on the second one.
It's funny because you never beat games, and I'm like the total opposite, where before I started on the pod, I'd play like 2 games a year, because when I like it, I'm just going to stick to it and just keep replaying. I'm actively trying to avoid watching too much footage of this, because I know that I'm going to get super sucked in and do a full playthrough and play Valhalla and all that stuff at the end. But yeah, it looks so dang good.
Well, and it includes the Valhalla DLC, which I have never gotten to experience a minute of, because that came out after I gave your PlayStation 5 back to you.
Dude,
when I did get to play Ragnarok. So for somebody like me, this is phenomenal. You got to think of all the people out there that this is going to be their first experience with God of War Ragnarok. And man, you guys are in for a treat. I mean,
yeah. Oh, it's such a great game. And if you want to hear our full thoughts, just search for that deep dive, go listen to it. We all absolutely love that game. Full disclosure, just to let everyone know right now, you're going to need a PSN account, and spoiler alert, you pretty much need it for any PlayStation game on PC. So, fair warning to you all, as long as you don't mind having a PlayStation account, then you can check that one out when it releases on September 19th. Kind of funny that this is the thing I wanted to talk about most, despite being an older game that I've already played and beat.
Because we know how good it is.
When it's good, it's good.
It's that good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Such good villains, too. Thor is great. All right, let's talk about a new property. Let's talk a little bit about Concord. Now, I think this got Josh a little bit fired up.
Yeah,
because
in a good way, though.
I saw a short comment on Discord, which is open to the community. So for those who aren't in the know, Concord is a shooter. It's going to be on PS5 and PC. It runs 5v5. They have 6 different PvP modes. It is set to launch in less than 3 months. So Josh, since you're pretty hyped up, what do you want the people to know?
It's funny because I was actually chatting a little bit on X with some people that it's weird, because there seem to be people that are saying not another hero shooter. Like, why is PlayStation hyping this game? We've had hero shooters before. Please work on a new IP or something that people care about. And it's like, I mean, I guess I can kind of understand that thinking, right? Like, hey, we want new things. We don't just want old ideas rehashed, right? And I understand that, but sometimes something just works. And for me personally, the hero shooter, I enjoy the heck out of. We all loved Overwatch when that came out. Now, Overwatch, to be fair, is the best hero shooter has been released, in my opinion. I have uninstalled all my Blizzard games. I'm not supporting Blizzard right now, and it's like, but I miss having that hero shooter to just jump into and play a round or two. It was my kind of fallback default game when I just had 20 minutes of, hey, let me just relax for a little bit and play something. So I am a fan of the hero shooter genre. And with Concord, it's got everything I want, man. It's got quirky characters. It's got tanks. It's got DPS. It's got neat looking abilities. I like the art style on it. I like the idea of, the PvP aspect. I mean, maybe this game sucks. Maybe the abilities are drab and dull, and it feels like I've done this 1,000 times already. But sometimes giving me, that home cooking is plenty fine with me, man. So I am kind of hyped for Concord because I'm craving a hero shooter right now. Now, I'll tell you this, Marvel Rivals looks pretty darn good too. So, I feel like we're going to get our pick of what we want to play. Deadlock would be at the top of my list, but we still don't really know a whole lot about when that's coming out and how the MOBA aspects and the tower defense aspects and all that are going to work. But yeah, I mean, for somebody like me that likes this genre, it looks like I'm going to have a good variety of games to choose from and then finally settle on the one that fits me.
So X-Defiant's not really holding you over? You're still waiting for that hero shooter?
Oddly enough, I have been enjoying X-Defiant a good bit lately. I'm in the whole, I want to unlock this gun and see if I like it and stuff like that, but it's not really a hero shooter. You know what I mean? I get that
It
you
flirts
have
with
your,
it. It's on the line.
I mean, it's
And that's probably why I like it more than you so far. Like, because that's what you mentioned, just that game to hop in and get a couple quick matches. That's what X Defiance been for me lately. Is I don't have a lot of time. What can I do? Boom! I'll hop on, play a match or two before I have to leave the house, and I scratch that itch real quick. And it toes the line a little bit of that hero shooter with the certain abilities you get, but. As far as Concord goes, it's, to me, it just seems like more of the same. Like, I'm kind of burnt out on a lot of the hero shooters, but, we'll see.
Would you call it Overwatch 0.5?
Well, that's why when
some of the people in the comments.
When you said new, I was like, new? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I will say, it doesn't really scream super modern and really bringing a whole lot new to the table. And I think that's probably what a lot of people responded to, where it does look a little bit like a rehash of games that we already have. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be good. I will say the verticality seemed odd in the trailer. Like, they have people kind of just like hovering in the middle of the air, but then you're just like an easy target. So I'm kind of curious to see how the vertical stuff works. I did like one thing where they showed like a character throw a smoke bomb, but then they had like an IR scope so they could see through it, and they were hitting the enemies. I was like, okay, that's neat. I don't remember seeing that in an Overwatch type game. Maybe it's out there and I just don't know. I thought that looked kind of neat. I did laugh also at another comment on YouTube where they said this looks like like a fake game running in the background of a movie or a TV show. And then as soon as I read that, I went back and rewatched the trailer and I was like, it does kind of have a little bit of that vibe where it's like close to Overwatch, but it definitely doesn't look quite as good in my opinion. So I don't know. This one I'm feeling a little bit more torn on. I don't know. I'm in wait and see mode, but I'm not holding my breath.
I mean, I get excited about the prospect of a new good hero shooter, but I am hesitant. Like, I don't know how good this game is going to be. The trailer they showed, of course, they're going to show the best tidbits of, people using their abilities properly and stuff like that. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could go wrong, but I am very curious to say the least, because again, a genre that I really enjoy, that I kind of tend to fall back to. Will it be good? I'm not betting money on it, but I am. My anticipation level is peaked.
I hear you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, let's talk a little bit about where winds meet. And this is one that has really intrigued us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love the idea of building on Chinese mythology. This is it's like a Chinese martial arts open world action RPG. I think that's safe to say. We did cover this game last September when they released 18 minutes of gameplay footage, which was really fun to watch. And we talked about how there's like a lot of cool stats and character attributes and seeing how your character interacts with others. It also has a little bit of crazy fantastical elements, like throwing bears 40 feet into enemies, which is hysterical. You can also kind of fly around Neo style up in the sky. So
don't forget about riding the goat, Paul.
Of course.
Ride the goat, and smash into people.
And, this trailer didn't show a whole lot of what I would say is like traditional gameplay, but those action sequences and some of the bosses, I'm loving the art design of this game and color me interested in this.
Yeah, this trailer showed off nothing but boss fights, but I was in for those because each one of them looked fantastic in their own sort of way. I mean, different elements, over the top stuff, like, just your good old standard kind of face off duel type thing. It's really weird because every time we see this game, it looks like a different game. A
little bit.
I mean, like I said, from the silly, throwing a bear to, remember the guy was mimicking the frog and then you learned some frog move or something like that, to riding
like a jump
goat
move or something.
Yeah, riding a goat around and running over enemies. And then it's like, then we saw another trailer where it was really fantastical, like the pagodas, and your guy was running up one of them and it looked like, something out of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And then we get this where it's just you facing off against these different bosses that are all human. This is not super fantasy or something like that. But yeah, man, I don't know what this game is at this point, but I know that I want it for some reason because it looks really good.
Yeah, it definitely looks great. And like you were saying, Paul, the battles just looked so energy packed and so cinematic.
Yes.
And like the big swords are slashing, the fire blasts are coming down, and the scale. I love when these games have just massive scale and you have that kind of arena to play in. So yeah, I'm definitely, this one is just keeps shooting up my hype meter. Even on like Final Fantasy, when we played that, those big epic battles, I love a good boss fight. And if they have a lot of that to keep me interested, I'm super, super stoked on this one.
Yeah. I would still bet money that Black Myth Wukong is going to be the more critically acclaimed and the better seller. But I know for just me personally, with what I like, something like Where Winds Meet actually has me a little bit more excited to play that than Black Myth Wukong. But I know most people are probably more excited for Black Myth. It is interesting that you also mentioned Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Josh. There were definite homages to that in this trailer.
Yeah. Absolutely, which I loved, and that's kind of why I mentioned it, because it's like they know the material that they're referencing on this as well. It's very hard to put together what this game is actually going to be, but everything that we have seen from it makes it look good. And I'm not trying to demean another game, but like with Rise of Ronin, there was a lot of Rise of Ronin that I looked at and kind of went, like, okay, like I'm sure some people are going to enjoy this game. And, but Where Winds Meet, like, legitimately has me very intrigued with the stuff that they've shown off in it. And I think that's an accomplishment without really knowing what the heck this game is.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a short break and we'll come back. And don't worry, we're still going to talk about Astrobot. All right, guys, we're back. Still a lot of trailers we could talk about if we want. I don't really know if there's anything in particular that you guys want to cover. Ballad of Antera, they had an announcement trailer. This one looks a little wild. It's a fantasy action RPG. You're running around with a child on your back the whole time, which is a little goofy. It also has like enemies wearing church bells over their faces, like a helmet that goes all the way to their shoulders. There's like creepy looking crones. I don't know. That one might be something to keep an eye on. I mean, they didn't really show a whole lot. And they also had trailers for 2 PSVR 2 games. There was Skydance's Behemoth and Alien Rogue Incursion. I've never had PSVR. I didn't see anything here that would make me want to go out and buy one. Do you guys kind of feel the same way on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we did get news that there is an adapter that's going to let you use the PSVR on a PC, which I think is a great idea. I do like these fantasy-looking games. This Behemoth, I think, is what it was called, where it's like, dudes fighting skeletons and creatures and stuff like that. So it's like, I like seeing that progression of VR where they're trying to really make these like legit role-playing games. But it's just not enough to sell me on getting a PSVR either.
Yeah. Because you don't have one, right, Ryan?
No, I just have the Oculus.
The
The Quest 2, yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. What about Dynasty Warriors? Are you guys fans of that series? I've never been a big fan of Dynasty Warriors. I never quite got it.
10 again? How many are there? Isn't there like a million?
There's a good bit of them.
There's a lot.
I liked them as a kid. You just go in and you just go through and just blast this huge army, going through and swiping around and stuff. I don't know. It's just, you lose track of some of these games when they come out. It looks cool. It looks pretty, graphics are crazy nowadays, so they can pretty much make everything look pretty dang good. But I doubt it's going to be something I get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have zero interest in Dynasty Warriors, man. I don't know what it is that series has never attracted me for some reason.
Totally agree. There's just something about like combo 790 that's like, okay, that doesn't mean anything. Like you're not really earning it. You're just swiping a weapon and killing 30 people at once. I don't know. It doesn't work for me.
It's like Wheat Harvest Simulator or something. You know what I mean?
Kinda.
Where it's like I'm just wading through like these fields of like grass, except they're
Wheat
people.
Harvest.
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, let's get to what a lot of people considered to be the highlight of the entire state of play. We got to talk about Astrobot.
Yeah.
All right? Dude. Okay. I wrote down, I don't think I'm crazy. I think Ryan was a huge fan of Astro's Playroom, right? Weren't you, Ryan? Okay.
I would like to know how many hours I have on it with my son. It's a lot.
Yeah. And like the whole time watching this, anyone who's not, familiar with the background of Astrobot, it's a platformer. It's the follow-up to Astro's Playroom. There was an announcement trailer where we got to see a fair amount of footage. It's coming out in exactly 3 months, September 6th. I loved the fact that almost everything at the State of Play is coming out soon. And the whole time that I'm watching it, like, you're getting cameos of PlayStation characters in other properties. So there's like some great ones that you recognize. They say there's more than 50 worlds to visit. We saw stuff like Star Fox style dogfighting. It's the closest thing I would say is Mario, as far as like the platforming elements. It's very reminiscent of the Mario games, or maybe like Rayman Legends. And I just thought, why do we not have more platformers? The whole time I'm like, I cannot wait to play this. It looks so good.
I think this game looks phenomenal, dude. I mean, honestly, as much as I'm hyped for God of War Ragnarok and Concord and Silent Hill 2 and some of these other games that they talked about, like this game stole the show, man. Like, I don't, and I'm with you, Paul. This looks like the greatest 3D platformer that has come out since like Super Mario 64, or something like legitimately, it looks that good. And I don't know how they did it, but they did it. And every scene in this game, I just went, "Oh, that looks good." Oh, did you see that? Like, there's even like a Mega Man part where he's fighting some dude and kills a boss, and now he's got these little like plant chomper hands that he then is using as like to as grapple hooks. And I was just like, this is amazing. He's flying, like you said, like Star Fox. He's bopping things. He's running through levels. Then they start showing these monstrous bosses that you come across. Yeah. And then I'm like, there's boss fights on top of all this. Like, I want this game bad, man.
I do too.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a throwback to the old school, like 3D platformers that just resonated with my monkey brain or what, man. But it was like, I really, really liked what I saw in this one.
Oh yeah, and in the playroom, there was so many cool things, and one thing that I loved so much about it, other than just actual gameplay, was those like nostalgia hits where you're playing through this area where you can win the trophies, and you go to your trophy room, and it's got old PS1 minis and PS2s and all these other different things, and the way you play, you can interact with the world, and you see chords and you pull them, and it pops up in coins, and then all the other platforming aspects. And then this one just goes on it tenfold. I'm so beyond excited. I don't think my son knows about this yet, so we're gonna have to watch some gameplay and trailers, and he's gonna be just as excited. It just looks so good, and it looks like it has so much of that same core from the playroom, where it's just going to be an absolute blast, especially if they have all those nods to other characters. Because if there's one thing that you can do for guys like us in 30s, 40s that now have disposable income is grab on our heartstrings and bring us back to being kids playing these games. And so I think it's gonna. I'm just excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and I know that this is like bad criticism, if you will. It just has that it factor. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Like everything
really
I saw
does.
it looks fantastic. You can tell it plays fantastic, even though you're not holding the controller. And by the way, I'm sure they're going to use the PS5 controller in some really clever ways. I have no doubt they're going to use it to its full potential. I was more hyped for this than anything else that I saw in the show. For me, it was this and Ragnarok. Those were the top two. And I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I'm the same. And this stole the show, man. Like, this is legitimately, this looks good enough to make me once again consider like actually buying like a PS5, because this is going to be PS5 exclusive. I mean, I didn't see any mention of it being released on PC. Did you guys?
No, it'll be an exclusive, I'm sure.
How about that too? A PS5 or a PC port, sorry. And then, this just kind of offshoot little game that they just included with the PlayStation.
That used to be a tech demo,
yeah, it was
right?
just a tech
and now
demo,
it's like this full-blown series.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, I can't wait to play. It looks so good. All right, couple other things, just quick rapid fire that I'll mention, and then you guys can let me know if you have any comments. Path of Exile 2, I think still looks amazing. Silent Hill 2 has an official release date now of October 8th, so that's coming up in about 4 months. And the Until Dawn remake, I know we've mentioned it before. It looks fantastic. Highly recommend people check that one out if you never played the original, which I loved on PS4. Any thoughts on those three there?
I think Path of Exile is going to be the Diablo killer. Honestly, I didn't play the original Path of Exile, but Path of Exile 2, everything that we've seen about that game, from the skill trees to how you can swap quickly between different builds or elements that they were showing. I think that maybe it's weapon sets, but your skills are tied to weapon sets, so it's like you can quick swap. The graphics in it look phenomenal. I mean, I legitimately think this is going to be like what everybody was hoping like the next Diablo would be. So that game looks incredible to me.
Dang, those are some strong words.
I mean, have you seen the stuff, man? Do a little
I don't
digging
know.
into Path of Exile too, man.
I saw it. It looked cool, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a Diablo simp because that's just what I grew up with. So I see it and I think, I already have Diablo. And especially with how Season 4 is supposed to be so much better and they fixed everything and everybody's having fun with it. I don't know. I just don't know if I could find myself just getting another game that's so similar. But
here's the thing that because we did talk about this with Diablo 4 being in Season 4 and people are saying it's vastly improved and the gear is better and all this stuff. But it's like, I miss like really good skill trees. And that's one of the big design flaws with Diablo was they dumbed it down, man. They simplified the skill trees. I mean, I played Rogue and I had 2 builds that I could pick from at the time. And both of those were click my mouse as fast as I could possibly click buttons. Like it just, I don't know, man. I like the strategy. I like the min-maxing for different builds and trying to figure out how do I make this build synergize with this and that kind of stuff. And I've just felt like that's where Diablo lacked a little bit. And I don't know that Loot is going to fix that.
Well, Path of Exile, you've got about 10 million options for how you build out your character.
Too many.
So
I'll never finish.
I like that.
Well, and I still love the joke that like if you're a streamer and you put in your first point, everyone gets mad because you've already screwed up your build in Path of Exile because everyone's like calculated the best builds. And hopefully you get to tinker around a bit in the next one. All right. And then in non-state of play news, we did get word about 2 delays. Unfortunately, Little Nightmares 3 and more sadly, Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater have been delayed to 2025. Rip to my auction draft selection of Snake Eater. I drafted that in our auction for most anticipated games of the year. It was actually the 3rd most expensive game that I bought in that auction draft.
Really?
And now it's worthless for this year. It's not even going to come out. What a bummer.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I didn't outbid you, for sure.
That's how you drafted Dragon Age 4. Don't pretend like you know when something's coming out.
Okay. Dang it.
Yeah, I mean, Little Nightmares 3, I know there's people that are excited for that game. I just don't see how it's going to be any different than Little Nightmares 1 or 2, to be honest. So it's kind of like why are they delaying that? Like,
I don't know. I didn't look into why. I just saw the news.
And then with the remake, I get like with the remake that, hey, you got to make sure this is working right and the graphics are updated and the control schemes are what they need to be and what people are familiar with and stuff like that too. I mean, we've always said, we haven't always said, but lately, as we've gotten wiser, we've said, listen, release the game when it's actually ready. There's no benefit to releasing it early and then having people complain about bugs and performance issues and stuff like that.
Wait, wiser? I didn't get the memo.
Yeah. You still got a little ways to go, Ryan. You're not there yet. Don't worry.
I did chuckle a little bit because I ran across an article that said Metal Gear Solid development will start if Snake Eater sells well. And then I immediately saw Snake Eater has been delayed to 2025. And so I was like, oh no, were they like, we better make sure this game's actually good if the stakes are like that high. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but just the order that I ran across the articles could not have been funnier. And then finally, I know that all of us had kind of checked out a game called Dragon is Dead. It actually releases tomorrow as of the day this episode releases. So June 7th, it might be worth keeping an eye on. We were able to watch some preview footage. It looks an awful lot like Castlevania meets Diablo. So it's like a side scroller. I think this one looks to have a lot of potential. I really hope I'm not wrong in that, but I think that one might be worth checking out on the 7th.
Yeah, if you've ever wondered what a combination of Castlevania meets Dead Cells meets Diablo looks like, this is 100% that game. And they were very obvious that they ripped off, each of those games.
Oh yeah.
But let's be honest, each of those games pretty darn good. So if you're taking those components and you're mashing them together and you're spitting out a great video game, then I know we're here for it. I watched this footage as well, and I think it looks really good. As it is a roguelike game, but man, it looks like it's just going to be a blast to play. So definitely recommend at least watching the footage for it, checking it out, and seeing if it's up your alley. But I am pretty excited for what this looks like.
Now, I know I just said what I said about Path of Exile and Diablo, but this does look so much like Castlevania, and I'm all in for it.
Yeah.
So totally disregard what I just said.
And it's got that throwback graphical style too. So
Yeah.
it looks an awful lot like Symphony of the Night, which, goodness gracious, Ryan, for you and me, that's like a siren call. Anything with Symphony of the Night, and we're drawn right to it. Yeah, if this one releases to even decent critical reviews, I'm really hoping I'll have the time to pick it up.
I'm gonna make the time.
There you go. All right. Well, that wraps up everything here for this week in gaming. Thank you so much for listening. As a reminder, you can check out support options to unlock perks like bonus episodes and so much more. Head over to multiplayersquad.com. Also, please rate our show 5 stars on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hit us up on socials at Video Gamers Pod and join our free Discord. Come say hi. You can ping us at host. We'd love to hear from you all. And until next time, happy gaming.
See ya.
All right. See you, everybody.
And counting down from 3, 2, 1,
Go! We're missing the X-Defiant party.
Yeah, man.
45 for a deep dive.
Fine. 50.
Went an hour on Ibn Ob, a game that has one button, jump.
No, you are. You are.
You're muted, Josh.
The cool thing I did, they did it. There was a.
Nothing like talking about what we're gonna do until after we hit record.
Right? I know.
And counting down from 3, 2, 1,
Go.
I didn't say go.
I
just
thought you-
totally spaced. I said
heard
go
Ryan.
in my head. I literally shouted go like with you guys, but then I realized it didn't come out of my mouth.
Well, Vince Mozzarella, we're rooting for you.
I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
We're gonna have to change the name of the pod to Grumpy Old Gamers. Yeah, go get a room. Jeez.